How's it going, everyone? We're here to check out the potential skins coming up for this next week. And if you're new, what this means is not all of these skins will make it in. Some may never see the light of day. And basically the way it works is the game's lead dev, Help, goes through about 2 weeks worth of these lists and then chooses which ones he feels liked and puts them in the game. So there we go, 8 to 10 can make it in every week. Everything else kind of just passes on. So anyways, we've got the Apache bandana and poncho for you. Now the bandana doesn't have a cut version, but the cut version does not currently work, so I'm not showing it to you. For some reason it just shows up with everything white, so that's very weird. But here you go, it definitely has a fun little vibe going on and a great continuation to the set. Next we've got another poncho for you, and this one's the hard suit poncho. The whole thing kind of looks like it's maybe like a Kevlar mesh, or even maybe just a gray tarp with all of these sheets of metal just riveted to it, which is just awesome looking. The whole thing fits really well, and it just kind of looks worn and torn and like something really pieced together in the Rust world. Next up, the master of cosplay sets is back with the panda cosplay. So you have a little panda up in your pocket, a panda in the pocket. You gotta love that. And then I guess, is that glow stick? I'm not entirely sure on that one. One way or another. On the back, of course, you've got a friendly little panda on the hoodie and a matching tail to go along with it. So for everyone that loves these sets, there it is. Next up, we've got the Legacy Kevlar road sign. Well, the kilt is in, but the chest and face mask don't exist yet. Well, I should say coffee can helmet. And with this one, the coffee can helmet has a unique version that has, so to say, the flap up, or a deleted one if you want to get technical. So there that is, it's very different. Of course there is a version that just looks normal, but that's boring. And this set has had, well, very special pieces, so this would just be something that fits. Next up, we've got our high qual sets. First one is going to be the wire metal face mask, and the whole thing looks like it's a bunch of bent copper wire. Same thing with the strapping. Then you've got these big copper plates all welded together and riveted together, and all together very coppery set. Definitely very cool, and it has kind of a unique little silly face with the blue kind of tooth cutout thing going on as well. Next we have a medic set for you, and there's the paramedic kind of flak vest. It says paramed, you can't see the C there. Then it says med on the front. You got some syringes along the side. And then on the back you got the big old med symbol. Same thing with the hat. Like the strapping thing they did with this, definitely looks really cool, kind of more medically. And then the actual mask itself looks like a breathing mask for, you know, like an actual, like, breathing suit. There we go. So there you have it. Definitely a very creative one that would fit into Rust quite well. Next, we've got the Voltal metal face mask and chest. Yes, Voltal. So there you go, and it's got this kind of crazy carved pattern to it that almost looks like, I don't know, chest hair maybe? It's all squiggly, so I guess. Then up here you've got more, I think it's just kind of a fancy squiggles design, unless this person's a wolf man. So I'm definitely off on that. But we've got some scribbled marble to go along with this kind of creepy set. Next up we have a continuation with the cursed set, and it is the cursed metal set. So you've got the chest piece here. It has kind of what looks like painted over leather, which I think is nice. And then on here you've got the continuation of kind of that like skull, faded skull look, and more kind of scribing all over the back and so forth. So there we have that. Fits into the set quite well and has that kind of dirty, rusty look as well. Next we've got another high qual set for you, and this one is the Sun and the Moon set. As you can see, there's a sun here on the front with some beautiful clouds, nice blue background. Then you kind of got these very white and gold royal kind of strapping. Then up on the face mask you've got stars and a moon, and of course you go on the back and then you've got the moon nice and big back there as well. Definitely quite a beautiful set. Last but not least, we have the Timekeeper metal face mask and chest piece, and as you can see here they have some crazy kind of cutouts. You've got a watch going on here, a gold cobalt gigantic hand watch it kind of looks like. And then the back you can see the inner workings of all the cogs and springs and gears working around, and same thing going on kind of up here with the helmet. It's all a bunch of springs and gears and cogs and wheels, and then the front itself has another kind of timepiece thing going on with some cutouts, which I think is quite cool looking as well. All right, moving on to our deployables here, we've got some sleeping bags for you. And the first one here is the homemade electric heater bag. And yeah, it looks like they did foil and heating coils, and I think it's more like the homemade bake yourself, well, yes, sleep bag. And I just love the hilarity of this, and is definitely something that just fits the crudeness of Rust. Next over here, we've got Deathbed version 2, and it's kind of like a half-buried old tombstone sleeping bag kind of thing going on, complete with plant growing out of it. Then moving on, we've got another sleeping bag. This is the makeshift sleeping bag, and the whole thing looks like it's made out of like tarp and duct tape and random stuff found around Rust, and it just fits right nice in it. Last but not least, we have one more for you, the stone bag, and the whole thing just kind of looks like an old chiseled stone. Might not be the most comfortable of sleeping places. Moving on, we've got some large boxes, and it looks like we've got a return of the spray can set with the large spray can box. Definitely has a very nice urban vibe. Moving on, we've got a version of the Oxum's Gas Mart turned into a box. And everything on top even kind of looks like it has a little bit of a pop-up to it. You've got the loot crates even showing up. Definitely a very creative box for sure. Then moving on, we've got a very cool box right here. This one is the sorting guns box. And it actually connects right here, and it has like little connectors right for where the automation can all connect in. And yeah, it just has a nice glow that goes with that. Then moving on, we've got a single furnace this week. It is the Chunks furnace. We saw the Chunks armor, and now, well, same plating has been put to use on a furnace. Moving on, we've got the Game Fridge by Chris. It says Rust, press start. Definitely a fun little idea, for sure. Moving on, we've got some rugs. The first one here is the broken wall rug, and you can make it look like you've got this whole messed up broken wall thing going on. Moving along, we've got the Smile sticker rug. Not the first smiley we've seen, but hey, you know, I don't know. Maybe one day a smiley will come in. Is that even something people want? I don't know. Next, we've got a bamboo design here, but it's a little bit different. This is the Dark Boo set by Robstar. Go ahead and take a look at the back here. It has a glow and a non-glowing version, which we'll show you shortly. Then over here, we've got the crazy dark portal door. And this comes in a green and a purple. If you want to see the green one, I always have the workshop link down in the description below. And the back kind of has this obsidian kind of purpley stone thing going on and wood. And then it just has this crazy mirror effect, which is quite cool. Moving on, we've got a very beautiful sheet metal door for our first ones here for you. It is the Old Nature metal door. Definitely a very beautiful looking one with some nice glow that we'll also be getting to here shortly. Moving along, we've got the trailer door, and it looks like the camper trailer door, just really well done. This is something that actually goes well with the boat and everything, and it has two versions, one that glows and one doesn't. Moving on, we've got the Archivist sheet metal door by Vase, and each little like disc has different art that's all Rust related that he's drawn over the times. And yeah, it's just very cool to see all this different stuff put on here. Then moving on, we've got the Devourer of Souls sheet metal door, the Inquisitor sheet metal door, and then we've got another kind of portal for you with the Other World sheet metal door for you here. Moving on, we've got a continuation, what looks like maybe a new set from Little Ranger with the Monolith door. Then moving along, we've got the Space Airlock double door. And last but not least, the Mansion garage door. And the whole thing kind of looks like a little mansion setup. It has this big peak at the top and a nice glow. So we'll go ahead and kill the lights there. Definitely love the atmosphere from those lights. Love the glow on that one. back here, and you'll notice the back doesn't really glow, so that's something to pay attention to. Then we've got the rug and the fridge. Furnace is going to have pretty normal glow, nothing special really going on there. Then we've got the gun box, the Oxums, then you've got that glow on the spray can box, and lastly, that toasty sleeping bag. Alright, let's move on to tools and weapons. First off, we've got a silly little hazmat hammer guy for you. Definitely a silly one for sure. Lots of attention to the detail though. Then we've got some rocks. The first one is a peach pit, complete with a little bit of peach meat on it there. Then we've got a dumpling rock for you. Might not want to bite into this one despite how delicious it actually looks. Then we've got a cool carved out hatchet for you with the Plague Stone hatchet version 2. They kind of went with a more kind of like leather straps kind of thing, and yeah, this plague mask just looks really cool. Now there is a regular version where there's a stone in the bottom half of the mouth, but that just kind of ruins the effect, you know what I mean? Then we've got, of course, the matching pick to go along with it. Then, moving on, we've got some inflatable tools for you with the inflatable toy hatchet and pickaxe. Definitely a cool little design. Next, we have another salvage ice pick. Maybe one day Helk will accept one into the game. We'll just have to see. Man, it's been ages since one has made it in. But here we have the Mountain King salvage ice pick. Moving on, we've got a knife for you. It is the Red Rock Combat Knife. It definitely looks like it is handmade and edited. Has that nice little saw on the top, welded on. Definitely a very survivalistic looking design. Next, we've got some bows for you. The first one is the Metal Fern set. So, of course, you've got that fern design and the kind of carved looking metal. Then we got ourselves another bow here with the Nomad hunting bow. Another very handmade look with some beautiful painting. And then we are moving on to our guns with the Demon Sap. Don't know why this is called Demon really. And then I realize, oh look, there's a mouth right over the top. Oh, now you see the design. There it is. Definitely very cool. From the side, it kind of just looks like flower work, but then when you inspect it, you can see there's definitely a demon there. Aiming down the sights, you do have white on white with a little bit of black to the back there. And there we go for our reload. Moving on, we've got the Mutating SMG. This thing just has crazy look to it. Very cool. I think a lot of people would get behind this, especially everyone who likes the tempered set. Aiming down the sights here, you've got gold sights against that kind of mutating design, as they call it there. Then we've got quite a few MP5s for you. Starting off, we've got the Poisoned MP5. Aiming down the sights, you've got purple against blue. Then we've got the Burnwood MP5, which just looks so fresh and clean. Very beautiful design to it. I think it's that shiny chrome metal. And aiming down the sights, you've got a nice green, bright tip. Then we've got a very crazy MP5, the Rainbow Oxide MP5, and this thing is just insane. Looks like some thermal vision stuff going on. Aiming down the sights here, you've got a very distinct purple sight to differentiate from the rest there, and it is also, to be noted, a cut sight. Moving on, we've got one more MP5 for you, the Woodland MP5, which has a nice little woodland kind of camo going on. Very hunter looking weapon, nice cloth wraps on the grips, and then it's got a completely crazy sight here where the ring is just completely gone. I think everyone's trying to see their go at MP5 sights, so we'll just see how this goes. But I think usually anything this cut is going to be for usually a charity or a special event or something. But hey, it doesn't hurt to try, right? Moving on, we have our SARs for you. The first one here is the Tribal SAR, and it's just this nice kind of matte black, flat black with this silver scrawling of this beautiful kind of design of the skulls and everything, and yeah, just really cool. Kind of chromed out rest of it. Aiming down the sides, you have some chrome sides. And there we go for our reload. Our next batch here, we've got a couple more SARs with the Concentric SAR for you. Version 2. It definitely has more kind of sleek design that matches a lot more of the accepted pieces, so going back and doing that definitely makes some more sense. Aiming down the sights here, you do have that kind of brass on brass sight going on. Next, we've got our continuation in the Blackstone set from Jimmy, and it is the SAR. Definitely a good continuation of the set with that same kind of black obsidian going on. Aiming down the sights here, of course, it is going to be all black with black. Next, we've got the white carbon SAR. There's also a black carbon SAR, but it really has the same colors as the black and gold set, so I figured this white is just so much more different, and I think a lot of people would really love that. It also has these nice red sights against the gold, which is quite beautiful. It's definitely a very sleek looking SAR design, for sure. Then moving on, we've got ourselves some ARs. First one here is going to be the Damascus AK-47. This has two versions, one with and without a stock. Aiming down the sights here, it does have a slightly darker tip, which I think is nice. And there we go for our reload. Next, we've got another AR for you, and this one has some crazy artwork on the side. It is the Infernal Adept AK. Definitely some crazy art there. Nice wood grips in the front, kind of old looking. Aiming down the sights, you do have another kind of weird figure there, and a red kind of faded tip for your sight. Next, we've got another AR for you, and this is similarly the AR Evolution. There's a nice little purple color to it. Aiming down the sights, not too much going on. You can see it's actually a white tip, but depending on how the light hits it, it really kind of just looks gray. And there we are for our reload. Next, we've got more ARs, and we've got so many this week, but man, there's a lot of cool ones. Starting with this one here, the Frost Wyvern is just crazy. Red Rex did an amazing job on it. Aiming down the sights, you've got some frosty sights and some dragon spikes sticking around the edge. Love the little wing down there on the mag. Definitely very, very epic looking. Then we've got some cool Tiki designs with the Tiki AR. This also comes in a stock or stockless version. Aiming down the sights, you have this angry kind of Tiki face, and you've got a nice red sight against the yellow little dots and the blue sky kind of going on there. Then moving on, we've got the Roasted AK. This has a nice kind of flat black to it, and then some simple kind of hot rod flames and a skull going on. Definitely a simplistic look, but a lot of people can definitely go with them. And burn them all there hidden on the side. A nice little skull carved into it, and a faint red tip to go along with it all. Next, we've got the Welder AR, and well, the whole thing looks like it's welded metal chunks all just put together to somehow make an AK. Definitely a very Rust type of look. Fits the game quite well. Aiming down the sights, you do have kind of like a gray versus black versus the kind of leftover chrome metal that's dirty there. Definitely quite the mishmash of stuff for the sights. Next, we've got the Quicksilver AK, and as you can see, it has melting Quicksilver dripping down all over it. Well, I guess it's not really melting. Quicksilver is, I believe, liquid at room temperature, so never mind. But anyways, there you go. You kind of have that silver drip and a nice red tip. And I just rhymed without meaning to, so there you have that. Next up in this group, we've got the RGB AK, and believe it or not, this does not glow. It just looks like it shines. And man, this thing is just goofy and crazy and colorful. Red tip included and rainbow colors, all RGB, like you would expect it to be. Next, like I said, we've got a lot of ARs. We've got the Toxic Leak V2, and then this now has a combination of a blue and kind of magenta going on. No stock. And aiming down the sights, you do have kind of just a darker black tip, but it doesn't really blend too much. They could have used a little bit of that blue and magenta, I think would have made a much nicer tip, for sure. Then we can move on to our LRs, as you should recognize this one from the thumbnail. We've got the King LR, and man, this thing definitely does look quite royal. Aiming down the sights here, you've got a kind of dirty gold, and there we go for our reload. Our next LR is the Skull Head, and it has this skull kind of drawn on there and kind of like a cartoon, explosions and fire going along with it. Also kind of a little tiny bit of a hot rod feel with the flames. Aiming down the sights here, you do have a red versus that kind of gunmetal color right there. Next, we've got one more LR for you, and it is the King Cobra version 2, and they've just kind of touched it up. I think they made the black a little less glossy, and the metal just looks much cleaner with the gold. Definitely a very beautifully sculpted LR. Aiming down the sights here, you do have a nice little red tip against the black rings, and a nice Cobra staring you right in the face there. Not to put, you know, any pressure on aiming down the sights. Next, we've got the Black Gold Bolty version 2. It's been touched up, and yeah, it's just, here it is again. So hey, maybe version 2 will make it in. I know a lot of people definitely love the Black Gold set. Aiming down the sights, you have, well, black and gold sights. I mean, what were you expecting? Next and last for our guns, we've got the El Diablo L96, and man, it just has this mean artwork on the side, the same kind of cracked heat coming through. It's definitely been a very popular set as well, so I could see this being a pretty popular L96. Aiming down the sights here, you do have some of that cracked heat, but not too much really going on. And there we go for a reload. And since they're just our last two things here, we'll just drag on in our satchels. First one here is gonna be the Sausage Party satchel. Now, it says Explosive Sausage Party, so I think that's fine, but literally calling it Sausage Party probably can't be done since that's a movie in America, but hey, who knows? One way or another, the grenades look like sausages with nuts screwed into them with a fuse, and it's just great. This whole thing is just silly and fits that weirdness of Rust. And then last but not least, we do have a very fancy, the Unknown Tome satchel. Whole thing looks like a big old fancy book that probably shouldn't have been open with matching grenades. But that does it, everyone. Sound off down in the comment section below. Which ones are you hoping for this week the most and want to see? I always love hearing that, and I can pass on whatever feedback to the artists or help with my best of my abilities. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay rusty, and we'll see you next week.